I brought together 5 Terraria YouTubers and asked them to reveal their thoughts on some of the most hotly debated topics in the world of Terraria. Will the conversation devolve into PvP, or can we find some common ground? I'm pretty sure you all know how this concept works. I'll be reading my guests some prompts and they'll place themselves along this scale from strongly disagree on the left to strongly agree on the right. Afterwards, I'll be giving each creator a chance to explain their answer to both the group and to you lovely people watching along at home. Before getting into the video itself, I want to say that this has been heavily inspired by Salmon's and his Do All Stardew Valley Players Think the Same video, which itself was inspired by Jubilee's Spectrum series that I'm sure you're all familiar with. With that out of the way, let's get into the first prompt. Fishing is an enjoyable part of Terraria. I'll give you a second to think.
I love this question.
I think it's the mechanics, the fishing mechanics themselves in Terraria are just fundamentally very boring. You just throw your line in a body of water and wait. I've played other games where you had to like reel fish in and stuff, and I think that's way more fun. So I think Terraria's fishing is just boring.
I was starting to have like a little bit of fun with the fishing thing, and then I died in a very unfortunate way while I was trying to fish. I'm not gonna do it ever again.
I can start with this one. Just tell you why they're wrong. So, in terms of fishing, I would agree that it is not the most engaging task, but the reason I think fishing is fun is because I play a lot of multiplayer Terraria. And I'm in calls with friends and stuff, and so that's basically like a time where I just talk and kind of hang out with them, and I just do fishing on the side. And so that's what makes it That's what makes it an enjoyable experience, is having friends.
So it's not the fishing itself; it's what it facilitates.
Well, no, I think fishing is also kind of fun, but it is also the situation you're in. Like if you're doing it by yourself, just sitting there quietly. I'd imagine it wouldn't be the most fun thing, but if you're talking with friends, it's worth it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that point. I feel like when you've got, all your friends just like chilling out and fishing together, it's so chill, Like I feel, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to fishing in this game, for some reason, I don't know what it is, it tickles my brain just the right way. And every time I hear that there's fishing in a game, I get really excited, and I'm pretty sure it's because of how much I enjoy fishing in Terraria specifically. And every time I go fishing in a different game, I always get disappointed because you just sit there holding the click, you let go just so that the line doesn't, like you have to hold the little marker in the green zone to catch the fish. I just want to catch the fish, Like, I feel like it's so nice and easy. And I feel like at the same time, it's not so much, like in Terraria specifically, I feel like it's not so much about the actual, like the mini game, I guess. It's about going fishing in different places. Fishing takes you different places. You want to get the Wrath Potion or a Rage Potion, you go fishing in the Corruption or Crimson. You want a specific quest fish? Dude, you can get really good healing potions from fishing in Honey, pre-hard mode. Like, dude, fishing's got heaps of stuff. It's rewarding, it's chill, and it takes you around different places in the game.
I also agree that fishing is great. I mean, I think it's mainly like the loot that you get, like this, and the excitement of like opening crates after you caught a bunch of them, and also like the progression from you kind of start with like a basic fishing rod, but eventually you get up to like the golden one if you fish enough, doing the quests and stuff. I don't know. I just kind of like that.
Are we gonna have that bit where we like can change our opinion after?
We can do that, yeah.
Yo, you want to come over this side? You want to come over here?
Like, you and Megas have like convinced me to be neutral, I think.
Terraria is primarily a game about fighting bosses and progressing. Agree or disagree? I'll give you another 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
think this is an extremely biased question. For me, it is. I get really bored when I'm doing anything that's not progressing. So, but then there's people like Wexel Radley who can fish for 9 hours straight.
Yeah.
So I just think it depends on the person, but of course all these questions depend on the person. But I think the Terraria itself is designed around bosses. That's what separates us from Minecraft. Minecraft having like the two bosses or whatever. So
What
it's
about
like
you,
a good
O'Brien?
split. He's
Sorry.
a secret boss, so it's a little different. You know? I think it's half and half, like sandbox and progression.
I mean, I feel like it probably makes a lot of sense that I'm over here because I was just going on about how awesome fishing is, which I don't think is boss related at all. Well, actually, no. Duke Fishron, he's a boss. He's fishing. And maybe kind of
That's the
Dread
only
Nautilus as
exception.
well, a little bit. But, you know, I feel like fundamentally you can look at it and be like, how do you get to the end of the game? And it is like basically just like, you know, killing bosses. But it's not about killing bosses that makes Terraria, you know, Terraria. It's about how you get there. It's the journey. It's about, you know, playing with your friends, the stuff you build along the way. Although you can play it multiple different ways. You can just kill it for killing bosses. You play the game killing bosses. But I think that's what makes Terraria really cool. It's like you don't have to just do that. You can do heaps of other stuff. Tommy Tsunami is a good example though, because he just does like building stuff. You know? Maybe not just does building stuff, but like he does a lot of building stuff. And so it's like the fact that people like Tommy can be around and do heaps of that stuff kind of just makes me think, well, like, there's no way it's just bosses. Like, it can't be.
See what you're saying. Can I be in the middle?
Yeah, you could be in the middle. Yeah,
Yeah, you could be in the middle of it.
I'm
it's a
here.
sliding scale, I guess.
I'm
So, what
like,
is your
"Ah,
opinion
yeah."
then? If you're in the middle of the two,
I think the progression of it is definitely a big part of it, but like Wexel said, there's just so much else to do that it can't be exclusively about bosses and progression. Even for me, like when I'm most of the time these days when I'm playing Terraria, it's because I want to beat the game with a specific challenge or whatever. But like before I started YouTube, I had a world over 230 hours that I just did stuff in. Like long after Moonlord, I just found other ways to challenge myself and do new things, and it was still fun.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, like I'm on the disagree side as well, but like without progression, like you don't really like it's kind of like I kind of want to take a hit against like quality of life mods because like when you kind of take that all away, it is just very basic. Like without all the grinding for items or exploring or even building houses. I don't know. I just find that kind of doesn't hit the same like if Terraria was only with bosses, but
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I have my own personal gripe against quality of life mods too.
yeah, me too. I think like part of the game is the grind. Like that's part of the fun of the game.
It really all depends on how you want the playthrough to go. And I know a lot of people tend to kind of, at least once they're a little bit more experienced with the game, they kind of just start to rush through it. And they're like, I don't need this. This is good. This will work. And it really is all about how you, the player, decide when you are going to progress or when you're not going to. And like easy example is Thorbin's 1 year 1 world series. He was always finding stuff to do. He played the same world for a year. And so it's all about whether or not you want to progress fast or you want to take some time, enjoy each little stage of progression, and make like a long running world.
Master Mode was a good addition to Terraria. Oh, interesting. I thought this would be a bit more divided. Let's go with the strongly agrees then first. What do you think, Yardis?
Well, based off of my previous answer, I primarily like Terraria for its boss fights, So Master Mode just introduced like a whole new layer, whole new dimension of boss fight, difficulty. And that was incredible. It made me come back to the game, make a new world, make a new character. Because without Master Mode, having only Expert, I feel like the game would have been too easy. So yeah, that's my take. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. After you've played the game for a little while, classic mode becomes a joke, expert mode kind of becomes a joke, and even master mode at some points can be too easy if you're thinking about it too hard to some extent. So even if I think it could even get harder, like legendary mode too, I think is really great. Yeah, just it's once you're more experienced, it's just the easier difficulties become not fun enough because they're not as challenging.
I definitely agree with the two of you. It's all about how tough the game is for you. Like Master Mode, it says it in the difficulty. It is not made for new players or people not as experienced as the game. And I think the difficulty, the perfect difficulty would be Expert Mode. And Master Mode is for people who, like Bench has said, they find it too easy. It's a little bit too quick in that aspect of you can just get through a boss in like 10 seconds. Master Mode, and I've heard the arguments about that it's just bloated stats, but that's kind of all it really needed to be for people who were, I guess, progressing through bosses too quickly.
First, the reason I'm on the agree side like already is I love playing Master Mode world. I don't think I've made an expert world since they added Master Mode to the game. Like back when expert mode was the highest difficulty, I played that almost exclusively, and then moved up to Master Mode when that came out. So like I'm a big fan, but at the same time, I feel like everybody in this call probably really, really likes Master Mode because, like, we've played the game before, right? It's kind of like the go-to because it's like you already know the game. But my thinking is like, if you are a new player, you're not straight away gonna go to Master. Well, I mean, you definitely could, but like at the same time, I feel like Expert's like a really good like starting point. And I feel like even when Expert was a thing, I don't think I ever really needed there to be a harder difficulty, but I definitely like it. So like I'm kind of like, I definitely agree. I really like Master Mode, and I think it's a good addition. But at the same time, I feel like it didn't like need it, Like Terraria is still a great game, even if you removed it.
Okay, I might actually move up to like slightly agree because I do like Master Mode. I like the increased difficulty. I also like the pets, for example, the one that Bench has over here. And also, Relics makes it like easier to keep track of what you've done. But like, I feel like it could have been more. And I mean, also, Fort of Worthy does kind of do that for me. Although I don't like some of the features, like the bombs from trees. But I feel like Master Mode isn't as much of a change from like Expert, other than like stats, personally.
I'll admit I was expecting a bit more of a broad range of opinions there, because when Master Mode first came out, there was a lot of backlash against it because it was just the stat bloat, whereas Expert Mode does change things about the game and does give you a lot more options for accessories and mounts and things like that. So I'm a bit surprised by that opinion.
Dude, I didn't even know that there was backlash. Dude, when Master Mode first came out, me and my friends knew that Master Mode was coming out, and so we were all like so excited, and we started playing it the day it came out. And then when it came out, we like spent like a 2-day. We did like a 2-day Terraria bender, just playing it like crazy. There's this one time where a friend of mine just goes, "Ah, yeah, I'm gonna go summon the Queen Bee." Summons the Queen Bee, dies, and it goes to spawn, and it's enraged. And we had like 10 people on the server, so it had like hugely inflated HP, but it was the most craziest fight. It's ingrained in my brain. Very fun though. Like, dude, the release of Master Mode was nothing but just like fun for me.
I think the biggest thing with its release was, one, just the only thing it changed was the bloating of the stats, and then two, how a big argument was that a secret seed has more changes and lines of code than a whole difficulty increase.
Actually, yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, it definitely could have. Like, because, like, expert mode adds, like, loot bags, right? Like, that's huge. But then master mode didn't. It's like,
They added pets and stuff. And Relogic made that very clear when Master Mode had originally came out. Like, it was nothing more than just, like, increased in stats, but people still just
it's like expert plus.
They didn't like it. Yeah.
So the next prompt is, Nurse Cheese is a valid strategy for Terraria challenge videos. Agree or disagree?
Wait, hold on. Can you repeat that again? I think it's valid.
Yeah, Nurse Cheese is a valid strategy for Terraria challenge videos. So only Wexel staying on the neutral line. Would you like to propose the case for remaining neutral on this?
Okay, so hear me out. In my mind, I want to believe that the nurse isn't so much like. Okay, it's pretty cheesy. It's a cheese, but I don't see it like that in my head. I'm always like, oh yeah, dude, the nurse is always an option. Like you can always like heal up at the nurse. Like that's just that's a thing in the game. Like it's an option. It's there. That's why the nurse is there. But then at the same time, and I get that it's a cheese, but the reason I'm not like disagreeing is because say you're fighting the Moon Lord, right? You go to use the nurse to live, right? And then the Moon Lord teleports you, shoots a laser, and the nurse just dies. What then? You got to use it carefully, because it can backfire. Well, maybe not so much backfire, but you can get the nurse killed. So, yeah, I'm neutral. I think that it is cheesy, but if not using the nurse when you need a heal, what's the nurse for?
I personally definitely try to not use the nurse as much as possible, and as a Terraria player, I think not using the nurse is probably the best. It's probably what you should do. But as a Terraria YouTuber, sometimes in challenge videos, it kind of just sometimes in challenge videos it kind of gets much, and just for the sake of getting it done and getting the content there, I feel like not taking a million attempts to beat a boss on the content creation side of things is a valid reason to use the nurse, and it doesn't really make for a less entertaining video, in my opinion. As someone doing challenge videos who has used Nurse Cheese before to beat the game, I still think you have to. That's basically my thing. Like, I think it's just a way to beat the game quicker and make it less frustrating. Which, if that's how you want to play, then who am I to stop you?
Personally, I guess it's frowned upon. I mean, it's a cheese. I mean, I wouldn't really kill anyone over it. And I guess sometimes, I mean, I've used before, but I guess another interesting like question that this kind of relates to is like, what about just like cheeses in general? Like, are all of them frowned upon, or is just like the nurse one frowned upon as nearly as much? Personally, I don't think. I mean, I do think that nurse is frowned upon, but I don't have too much thought for this one.
I see what you're saying. I agree with you. It's like, for me, a similar thing is using infinite piercing weapons for worm bosses. It's like, I don't feel like that's much worse than Nurse Cheese.
Now, Yardis, you're on the strongly disagree line. What are your thoughts?
I myself am the pretty extreme type of challenge runner. And in my opinion, it just depends on what your challenge is. If it's like disgusting, like the most horribly difficult shit out there, and you decide to Nurse Cheese, I feel like it takes away from the challenge. It's like, why did you choose that challenge in the first place if you're gonna win through, cheesing it? If that's the point of the video, though, then I would be over here. But for the sake of challenge runs in itself, using the nurse it takes away a lot. And I personally wouldn't be very happy to see that in a video if it's like some crazy shit like, let's think of something. 100 HP, Inferno mode, no wings, no armor. You probably die in, one hit usually, but if you have the ability to tank, you would effectively have, more hits you can take if you have the nurse. And that just takes away from the spirit, in my opinion. If you're doing like some sort of challenge that you take a shit ton of damage. There we go. I should have said that in the first place. It just depends on what you're doing. If it's something pretty easy, then so be it, whatever. But if the whole point of the challenge is to be nasty, then Nurse Cheese is just like, why? You know?
And Megaswave, you have left the confines of the video because you disagree that strongly, I presume?
I
Bro.
absolutely, I despise Nurse Cheese like beyond a passion, especially for like specifically challenge videos, because kind of like what Yardis was saying, it's like, what's the point in doing the challenge if you essentially have, now it's like, it does depend on the challenge, but if you essentially have a god mode option, the only expense is you're paying money and you kind of have to stay in one spot, like, what's the challenge there if you can't die? I think for challenge videos, I think Nurse Cheese is just a scummy way to, I guess, kind of say like, oh, I did the challenge, guys, and it's like, yeah, I guess you can say you've done it if that's how you want to put it, but for challenge videos, I think it ruins the whole point of the challenge, especially if it's like, because something I've been doing that I haven't shared with anyone is I have been trying to beat Terraria with only javelins. And if you guys don't know, there are like 4 javelins in the game. And if I feel like for me personally, like if I use Nurse Cheese, it's like, what's the point if I can just easily get through bosses by just standing in one spot, throwing javelins, and then clicking heal? Like, that's not fun. I wouldn't want to watch that, and I doubt anyone who's wanting to watch that kind of video would want to watch that as well. For casual players, sure, whatever, but if you're specifically doing a challenge video, I think Nurse Cheese is... I feel like it just ruins the whole point of the video.
Okay. Given the context that it's specifically challenge videos, I'm probably actually going to move over. Because I feel like the whole point of a challenge is to make it difficult. Like, so if you have like specific things in place to make it super easy, it's like, that doesn't gel with me.
Events in Terraria are fun.
Oh.
I'll give you a few seconds to think.
Oh.
Oh, that was almost synchronized between Wexel and Keppels.
Wait, I might move over a bit, just over here.
Is everyone where they want to be?
I'll be here.
Oh, you know what? I'll be here.
Okay, Keppels, that's our most extreme agreeer. You're gonna have to put forth your thoughts.
Okay, personally, I mean, if it's talking just about the Olin's army, I'd be over here. If it's any other event, it's probably neutral. I kind of it's kind of fun to kill large like amounts of enemies, like even like compared to like bosses, which are mostly just like single targets, other than like Destroyer and Skeleton Prime and or Eater Worlds. I guess rank for those as well. There's quite a few. It feels kind of satisfying, like just fighting a large horde of enemies. And like Olin's army specifically, it's kind of like exciting to get to like the later waves and like, you know, fight the mini boss at the end. You know, like how Betsy is definitely a real boss. That should be the question next.
Get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I have to say about
We're
events, though.
not starting this again.
Okay, Bench, as the person furthest to the other side, why is Keppels wrong?
Well, Keppels is just usually wrong, but
Okay.
I want to preface
Brand, most
that,
underrated item.
You should stay over on that side bench.
Yeah,
I don't want you
we
coming
don't
over
want you over here.
Dude, that was
I'm moving
rude.
this to the bench.
No.
Okay, so I want to preface by saying I'm coming at this from a very biased standpoint, which is first and most recently being I started and then scrapped a video that was beating Terraria, but only with weapons you get from events, and that kind of scarred me.
Dude,
I
this
think
is
I
like the
told-
fishing question all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That kind of scarred me just because it was so bad. I'm not gonna go into the whole thing, but it involved sleeping for dozens of hours, and it was not fun. And then the other thing is also recently was doing a Master Mode Mage playthrough where I had to farm the Frost Moon like 15 times or something like that, maybe even more, to get the Razor Pine once, and it just was not fun. It wasn't that fun at the beginning of it. It also definitely was not fun by the end of it. But I can see like Old One's Army is a little more fun. But as far as like Frost Moon, Pumpkin Moon, Martians, they're just not fun for me. Maybe that's also a skill issue, but
Yardis, as our only person who's on the neutral line, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm actually on disagree, but I had to move away from bench.
Okay, why do you disagree then?
Okay. Well, I just think
He runs
in
for
its
everyone.
current spot, I think they're really boring. Outside of Oldham's army, at least, because all you do is just sit there and you just kill enemies for 10 years straight, and pray that the drop you're looking for, you get it. And the variety is really bad too, because you only have like Old One's Army and like Goblin Army that you do early game, and both of which their early Old Ones kind of sucks, and then Goblin Army you need it for Goblin Tinker and stuff, but the event itself, the Goblin Army, it's boring. You just sit there and you like, okay, I'm getting roasted right now. We count weather and that.
rain is an event. Look at the wiki.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I only play
sorry.
Calamity
I
mod,
came
man. I'm
off more
sorry.
aggressive than I meant it.
But I just think it's boring.
It's
That's
just-
that's my whole point.
Wixel, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so once upon a time, I probably would have been on the other side because I feel like events. Okay, wait, Blood Moon's pretty cool because whenever that happens, it's kind of like, oh, dude, like lock in real quick. Especially because I play a lot of hardcore. Because like whenever that happens, it's like, okay, wait, danger. Like, careful. Like you can't go fishing because you pull up dangerous stuff. Like a lot of the time, you only really do them. Like you summon them in on purpose if you need specific items, not so much because they're like a cool bit of content that you just want to do for fun. But I not too long ago had a lot of fun playing Old One's Army because, I think, like I've done Old One's Army a few times. It's not that crazy. But when you have a lot of people in the same server, holy crap, is that fun! It's a whole different event when you've got a whole bunch of people in the same server. So like, I'm over here because specifically because of that. I'm like, dude, I've had a lot of fun with them.
Lastly, Megaswave.
I am more towards the right side because I think whenever you first do it in a playthrough, it's like kind of like what Wexel said. It's like, oh yeah, time to just rip and tear through a bunch of goblins, and then it's like you do goblins, boom, Goblin Tinker unlocked. You get into hard mode, boom, goblins show up, summoner. But then when it's like, oh heck yeah, post mech, and it's like goblins are showing up, I'm like, great. It just feels more like a chore at that point. And it's same thing with like the pirates. It's like, oh yeah, pirates, boom, knock it out, get the pirate to move in. But then I'm like post playing Terra and the pirates are showing up, and I'm like, it's just another chore. So the reason I'm more on the right side is because for that like initial time, it's like, boom, let's get this over with, let's take care of it. And then for subsequent times, it's like, great, now I have to spend the next 5 minutes just running around killing enemies instead of doing stuff that I'm wanting to do.
I think it's interesting that despite all of the placements across the board, you all seem to agree that the Old One's Army is a good event.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, if
For
I'm being
sure.
100% honest.
Which is also the most recent event that they added, which I do think is interesting.
Is that wait, yeah. Wait,
They
isn't
added Windy Day. They had Windy Day.
Yeah, windy day, yeah, sandstorm.
Dude.
Torch
Since
God?
Since it was 4, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Torch God.
I have the wiki. I have the
Oh,
wiki
yeah,
page
okay.
pulled up on my other monitor.
If more events were like the Old One's Army, do you think your opinions would change?
Yeah.
Yeah, before
Where would you be if it was based solely on the Old One's Army?
Should we move?
Yep, move. Yeah.
Based on the old one's army alone, I would probably move over another segment. I am a huge fan of the old one's army.
So note to re-logic, make events more like the Old One's army, and less like Windy Day.
Yeah, no, less windy day. Less windy day.
I never saw Windy Day was bad.
More windy day, please.
I would not mind more windy day. Just don't
They should
make
Windy
it.
Days more often.
Lantern night.
Dude, they should make old ones windy day.
Old one's windy day.
Yo, they all come in on clouds.
Dude, they should have a boss called Wetsy, and it's a real boss, part of the Windy Day.
Oh.
So dumb.
I think that's a good place to end it then.
I'm
Should
starting
we
my
like evenly
recording.
space ourselves
Okay.
out a bit?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
Good
Wait,
enough.
but maybe we can like space out a bit more, like move
Yeah,
down.
No, if you always go one lower.
Oh no, wait, no, wait, you go back up. Like move down a bit further. We can get like one extra space in between us, maybe.
Oh.
Oh wait, maybe
Okay,
We all need to move.
we can all
Maybe
go
one
like up half a one. Oh, and then
Oh, yeah.
perfect,
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, spot on. No one move.
No one touches spacebar.